Hi and welcome to my blog, Just a Veteran. My name's Craig. I'm new to doing this sort of blog stuff on YouTube, and I thought I'd just do some videos about me, my time in the army, and my time now as a veteran living in southern Spain. So my videos are probably going to be about my service first and primarily, and then about my time living in Spain and how I moved to Spain, how I'm a resident in Spain, and what I do in Spain. That seems to generate a lot of interest on that other platform. So I thought I'd try and do the same here and see where it gets. Got my flag there as a backdrop. As a Royal Military policeman, a proud Royal Military policeman. I joined the army at the tender age of 17. I'd been 17 1 month when I'd been given my date to go and join depot, and I lived in the Hebrides at the time. The Outer Hebrides, way up there off the northwest coast of Scotland. So I had to get a ferry. I then had to get a bus. I had to get an overnight train down to Chichester. By the time I got to Chichester, I'll never forget, it was early in the morning. I'd met a couple of guys on the train and found out they were going to depot, as we called it then. Not allowed to call it that now, it's called training school. Yeah, we turned up. We're all stood on the platform waiting to be picked up, and this small short wheelbase Land Rover turned up, canvas back, with that distinct whine of the tyres as it drove up. And this barrel-chested corporal got out with his cane. He didn't have a pace stick, he had a walking cane with his hat on with a slashed peak. And he was like, "Right, who the fuck are you?" So he got to me, pointed his stick right at me, asked me my name. I went, "Craig." Got to the guy next to me, and the guy next to me had been a cadet before. So he was like, 2-4, and I thought, private such and such corporal. And I thought, oh, fuck's sake, here we go. If I'd have known what was going to happen at that moment, I'd have walked away. I was a bit naive. I was wet behind the ears, as they say. I was only 17, just turned 17. I had a kid. I had a girlfriend back home. It was a big, wide world, you know, a big, wide world. So we all crammed in the back of this Land Rover. I think there was about 6 of us, which was just an impossible task, getting 6 of us and our bags in the back of this Land Rover. And I always remember driving through the main gate of Jerusalem Barracks in Chichester in West Sussex. And there was a guy stood on the gate. He's actually a good friend of mine now. And he looked at us as we drove in. He went... And I always remember thinking, oh, shit, what have we let ourselves in for? First few days in depot it was a total and utter culture shock. My father had been in the army, but years before I was born. And I didn't really know what to expect. I'd seen the documentaries on the TV and that, and I didn't know what to expect. My dad had told me stories, but that was from the 60s. But turning up was a culture shock. The colourful language that used to be used has stayed with me for forever. We got shown our barrack block, and we're in a big, I think it was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, about 14, 16 man room. There were bunk beds. I got my bunk that was right next to the door, and in the corner was my locker, and on top of the bunk was all your paperwork to fill in, your next to kin details. I didn't even know what next to kin was. That's how new and wet I was behind the ears. So I filled in all the next to kin details. Obviously didn't have mobile phones really then. In fact, didn't have mobile phones. So my mum, my dad, my girlfriend, they wouldn't have heard from me for days and days until I got to a payphone. So anyway, I filled in next kin details. There was a little red card that says name, so I put Craig in it, put it in my locker. And I think it was on the Thursday or the Friday, because that week, the next day, we got issued all our kit. They call it the 1157, full issue of military kit, the clothes. Went to the stores, got all the uniform, that horrible smell of uniform, everything from trainers for PT, trainers. There were DAPs, there were plimsolls, shorts, T-shirts, combats, all sorts, Chinese fighting suits, the lot. We got issued everything. And I was like, what the? I didn't own that many clothes. So I have all this thrown at me. I was like, what the Then the weekend was spent by one of the corporals coming round, and they taught us how to do everything in the army. Literally everything. They moulded us to be exactly how they wanted you to be. So they taught us how to press our kit or iron your kit. Everything about ironing it, how to iron it properly, how to look smart as a carrot. They even showed us that at wash. And I shit you not, that involved us all stood in the ablutions, watching a corporal in the shower, washing himself in the bollocky buff, explaining all the places you should clean and why, and failure to clean those areas could result in disease or illness, thus making you less effective as a soldier. I'm sure that's wrong. Anyway, on our first inspection, they come round, and that corporal that picked us up from the train station, he was one of the inspecting corporals. I'll never forget it. God, scared the living shit out of me, honestly. He come up to my locker and he's looking at it with his stick. And he looked at the locker door and he saw my name, Craig, and he went, "So your name's Craig, is it?" I went, "Yes, corporal." And he just unloaded onto, "Oh, your first name is your fucking surname. You don't give me your first name, you fool." And I remember thinking, Jesus, what's wrong with him? He's angry. Then he saw, we were allowed one photo in the locker, and he saw I had a photo of my girlfriend and my daughter, who was 2, because we had our children a bit young. That's maybe another video, where, we had our daughter at 15, basically. So when he saw that, it actually done me a favour, because he just stood there then and took the piss out of me and called me all the dirty bastards under the sun, how I'd had a child at a young age. But that first inspection, that first weekend, was such a culture shock. I'd never shared accommodation with other men before, or anyone else, in fact, apart from my brothers when I was young. So to go into a room with like 14 other men of varying ages, with varying personalities, which was the big thing for me. I was a quiet guy. I really was quiet. And some were gobshites. From day one, they thought they knew it all. They thought they were special. They thought they were, you know. You had a couple of people in the squad who had been what's called back squadded. So they went through training before us, but they didn't meet the grade. So they didn't pass certain training objectives that they needed to pass. And so they were back squadded into our squad. Well, they were big bollocks. They knew all, oh yeah, this. And of course, they had knowledge. So for the moment they had knowledge, they kind of had a bit of power. Like people would ask them questions and, you know, sort of butter up to them almost. But my first few days in depot were a bit of a blur, but I remember the inspection, as I said. I remember getting my kit. I remember the corporals coming out with really stupid phrases, which for years I didn't question. Then all of a sudden it dawned on me, what the fuck are they on about? They would tell you to fall out, and they'd want you to go back in the barrack block. Fall out is when you're a squad, a body of men, fall out, you turn to the right, march 3 paces, and off you go. And they'd say, you need to get changed, let's say for PT. So you had to go and get your PT gear on to come back. And they'd be like, with the speed of 1,000 gazelles. And we used to fucking run like fuck into the block, up the stairs, forget about health and safety. We used to sprint in the barging through each other, getting up there, taking our kit off, putting our PT kit on, making sure it was all right, getting and then sprinting back outside and back in a squad. And for years I didn't question that. And then one day it dawned on me that the speed of 1,000 gazelles is the same as the speed of 1 gazelle. Threatening to rip your head off and shit down your throat. Jesus, man, I actually thought they could inflict physical injury on us. But I learned very quickly the phrase that kept coming out was, it's fucking character building, you maggot. Not character building, you maggot, but character building, you maggot. And it was, you know, what they'd done in them first early days and weeks of being in the army was they totally broke us down. They took away what we thought we knew about living, about looking after ourselves. They just destroyed that, and they rebuilt us how they wanted to rebuild us. And some of us were better than others, some were stronger than others, some were weak in certain areas, some had strengths, some had weaknesses. What I do know, that I was in training for 6 months. I did pass out first time. But I had a Bic razor for 6 months, the same Bic razor. They made you shave. Spent a fortune on shaving foam. I didn't even have bum fluff, let alone stubble. And I shaved for 6 months. I was going, I think even once I was picked up for not shaving. Of course, couldn't fucking argue because it was character building. I thought, why are they making me shave? I ain't even got bum fluff. It was to get me into a routine so that when I did get stubble, that I would shave regular. But pointless now, because the army now, as of Easter, you can have beards, can't you, in the army? So yeah, they're my first few weeks in the army, in the training establishment of Rousselon Barracks, Chichester, the home of the Royal military police. And to be honest, I fucking hated it. I hated every minute of it. The physical training for me, I wasn't a fit guy. Some people are naturally fit. I was not. I hated it. Going for runs. I mean, 3-mile run was something. I thought, how far? And then 6 miles was like, what? It was just killing me. I hated it. How I passed out the first time without getting back squatted, I don't know. I think it was sheer fear and adrenaline. In fact, it must have been sheer fear and adrenaline that got me through training the first time. I used to shit myself. All the training objectives that would come up, I was always convinced I was going to fail. And I suppose that fear actually made me pass and work that bit harder. So it kind of worked. I was only one of 4 of the original 40 odd that passed out first time, which I was very proud of. But you know, I swear that I was going to fail at all the training objectives and the fitness stuff, but I didn't. I passed out first time, and it was just a mad experience training. 6 months, from a boy to a man, and then passing off that square for your pass out parade. All the other squads, they would have a military marching band. They'd have a high-ranking officer who took the salute as you marched past and demonstrated your skill with drill and moving like a body of men across the parade square. 1, 2, 3, 1. What did we get? Squad 9001. Sorry, Squad 9007. We got the Mayor of Chichester with his bowler hat. I'm not being funny. No disrespect to you, Mayor, if you're watching this and you were the Mayor in 1990. But it wasn't quite what I had in mind after 6 months of hard military training and getting fucking shafted and screwed, being carved from a flipping blubby civvy into a peak of military fitness and disciplined soldier. It wasn't what I expected. I didn't expect to have you there. So no offence to you if you're watching this, but I really wanted that high-ranking officer. If that wasn't bad, we then had a fucking stereo on loudspeakers playing the military marching music. We didn't even have a band. So I was quite disappointed with my pass out. I was right-hand marker because I was tall, 6'5". In fact, no, I wasn't. Ian Prickett was. He was 6'7". I was on the opposite side to him. And then we passed out a depot. My mum and dad couldn't make it because they lived in the Hebrides, and at the time they couldn't afford to travel all the way down for someone to look after the dogs. So my auntie and uncle come and watched me pass out of training at Chichester. I passed out as a Lance Corporal, much to the dismay of many other units and cap badges, but we get that Lance Corporal tape. It is kind of a protection stripe. We do a lot to get that tape. And we leave the training centre as a Lance Corporal in the Royal Military Police, as it was then the Corps of the Royal Military Police. Later it changed. So that was my time in training. A short video. I don't know how long it is really, like 13 minutes. But I thought I'd share this with you as my introductory video to my time in the army. And what we'll talk about next on my next video is turning up my first unit, my first working unit, which was in Hona. It was a place near Bergen-Belsen, not far from Hanover, if you're familiar with that name or that place. And do you know what? It really, really made me grow up. I was at a working unit where I was responsible as a military policeman, policing the force. That's the military service personnel, their dependents, and the United Kingdom-based civilians all come under the jurisdiction, first and foremost, of the Royal Military Police. So I was about to have a baptism of fire, which I will cover about in my next video. So please do follow, and please do like this video. I am new to this. I just want to get my story out there. I want to say about things that I've done and I've achieved. So if I pop my clogs tomorrow, well, not tomorrow because you'll only have this video, but if it's on here for any period of time, people can look at it and reflect on what I've done and what I've achieved. And you know, in reality, I'm just a veteran. I'm nothing special. There are no stories of firefights on these videos, so you probably want to scroll on. There are no stories of me clenching grenade pins between the cheeks of my arse and attacking the enemy gun position or licking bayonets clean of blood. There's none of that, I'm afraid. It's just a veteran. It's a Royal Military Policeman's true account, snippets of his 23 years in the service, my thoughts, my feelings, and they're all genuine, they're honest. So please do like, please do follow. And if you've got this far, thank you so much. If you just give me a thumbs up, I'll know that someone somewhere is watching and listening to my story. So wherever you are, thank you. And look forward to the next episode, which is all about my first working unit.